So today we are so excited to welcome Kathryn Heidemann. Kathryn became Cleveland Institute of Art's 11th president in July of 2022. She first joined CIA in 2019 as the Vice President of Academic Affairs and Dean of Faculty, and has played a key role in the implementation of CIA's most recent strategic plan, led the college's successful reaccreditation process, and led its COVID-19 academic planning, which resulted in the school safely offering in-person instruction. She also recently founded the Jane B. Nord Center for Teaching and Learning and is in the process of launching CIA's Interactive Media Lab, a center for arts, design, and immersive technologies as part of the forthcoming Midtown Collaboration Center. Prior to coming to CIA, Kathryn worked at Carnegie Mellon University, where she served as Assistant Dean at the College of Fine Arts and Heinz College of Public Policy and Information Systems Management. She brings 2 decades of arts industry experience to her work at CIA, having worked in arts administration, creative placemaking, and community and economic development for a variety of cultural institutions, including the Pittsburgh Cultural Trust, Chicago Academy for the Arts, and Edinburgh Festival Fringe, as well as through her mayoral appointed service as the Arts Commissioner for the City of Pittsburgh. As an educator, thought leader in the arts administration field, Kathryn has conducted lectures across the United States, Asia, and Europe, and has been featured in local, national, and international media outlets. She is an active community leader here in Cleveland, as she currently serves on the boards of University Circle, Inc. and Cleveland Public Library Foundation, on the Team Neo Talent Council, and the Dean's Advisory Council for Carnegie Mellon University. Additionally, she is a proud graduate of our Leadership Cleveland class of 2022 and our Civic Leadership Institute in 2021. And with all this spare time, she is also an avid rock musician. After taking up music while in college, she has played bass guitar and toured with several bands since the late 1990s. I am pleased to welcome Kathryn Heidemann.
Thanks so much for that introduction, Rachel. So nice to see so many of you here. Look forward to hopefully meeting some of you in person. I see a lot of names that I don't recognize, which is great, and a couple that I do. So nice to see you again in this space. So I'm going to share my screen, tell you a little bit about what's going on at CIA and a little bit where we're headed. So just bear with me 1 second. Hopefully this will work okay. Go into presentation mode, and then, quick. Okay, Rachel, we good?
Looks good.
Okay. All right, super. So thanks so much. I'm Kathryn. It's such a great pleasure to be here today. I've loved being part of the Leadership Cleveland family, and look forward to meeting more and more CLC constituents for the years to come, as I'm a proud new Clevelander to the area. As Rachel mentioned a little bit about my background, I'm not going to go into that, but I've worked at a lot of different places before coming to Cleveland, and I'm so excited to call Cleveland my home. My lifelong goal once upon a time was to become Wonder Woman, but that didn't pan out so well. So my goal is to really, how might I empower other students and leaders to achieve their goals in an awesome way. So I do have my Wonder Woman totem, but forgot to have that here on my side. I should also mention too, as a human being, I'm only sharing this because I come to Cleveland with a varied background and a very strange upbringing. I actually grew up in Australia, Venezuela, Germany, and moved to the States when I was a teenager. My dad worked in the automotive industry. I'm a mother, I'm a dog lover, and a rock and roll musician. So more than anything, I believe a really important part of leadership is knowing who you are and balancing work and life, but also work and creativity in so many ways. So again, pleased to meet you all. I think the context of this presentation is really focused on the future, but before I do that, I just want to take a moment to honor the past of CIA, because I am preceded here by a very rich 140-year legacy of innovation and in art and design. For those of you that may not be familiar with CIA, Cleveland Institute of Art is CIA. We are not the museum, although I love the museum. We are a college and have been since 1882 now. We were founded by Sarah Kimball, originally as the Western Design Academy, Western Reserve Academy of Design for Women, and Harriet Kester became their first principal. So I'm proud to say that I'm actually the first female president in over 100 years. It took a little while, but glad to be here. And it's an honor to serve in this role. The goal was really originally to find opportunities for women who didn't want to have careers in domestic service. And since then, we've been really focusing on empowering students for careers in art and design, and really have had a history of innovation across art and design areas. So early pioneers going back to Clara Driscoll in the 1800s, who worked on the original Tiffany lamps, to Ethel Coulsar, who was our first female storyboard artist at Disney back in the day, to great folks like Joe Oros, who designed the first Mustang and many iterations thereafter, and huge innovations in the transportation design space. To the one only Julian Stanchek, who really is a Polish immigrant who founded the op art ed movement in the 1950s and 60s, to the Swiffer, everyone's favorite household tool here, innovation here in Cleveland, followed by many other thousands of patents actually all came out of CIA, as well as the Marvel universe and animations and of Brian Michael Bendis. Just a few bit snapshot of some of the innovations that have happened over the year, and really to help folks in the room understand the vast where we've come from, and that one of the biggest misnomers I get is a lot of times people just assume we're only about the visual arts, specifically in painting and drawing and the fine arts areas, but there's certainly a lot more in that story to tell. And it's my job to tell that story. I just want to thank my colleagues who have paved the way for the college to be successful, starting with our founder, but then I'm at the top here, you'll see I'm sandwiched between two presidents. I guess I'm number 11, so number 9 and number 10 here. And just know that every vision is not possible without a wonderful team. So this is my cabinet leadership team here that has really been by my side to help me, especially in this first year, make great things happen at CIA. And really, we are inspired more than anything. We want to thank our students, because that's certainly why we're here and what drives us to do good work every day. So our mission of CIA is to, you can read here, but I'll just read it, to cultivate creative leaders who inspire people, strengthen communities, and contribute to a thriving and sustainable economy through an innovative education in art and design. And just a couple of the words I want to highlight here. We did go through a process a few years ago to retool our mission, vision, values, and go through a strategic planning process. And one of the things that we wanted to really bring to light a little bit more in our current mission and mint a little bit more is our focus on leadership, and also focus on innovations in the economy, because that's a really big part of what we do and what drives us to excellence and innovation in our region. So this is really obviously our credo that helps me get through my day and helps me guide my team and helps us to our raison d'etre, are essentially why we're here. Again, I really want to amplify art and design, because those are both very, very much critical to what we're doing, both in the spaces of that. And what does that look like when we really break down our academic programs that we offer? We have visual arts, everything from painting and drawing and sculpture and printmaking to the craft area, glass, jewelry and metals, and ceramics. In the design area, which includes interior architecture, graphic design, transportation design, industrial design, and the integrated media area, which is actually our largest area with respect to student representation, and that includes illustration, animation, biomedical art, and photography and video. We also offer a number of public programs and for the community, and really believe in bringing our college inside out and vice versa. So we serve about 600 students. About 60% of those are from Ohio, and 40% everywhere else around the contiguous states, and in some cases international, although that has taken a dip a little bit in recent years due to COVID. We have a very diverse community, very proud of that. We have over a quarter of our students who are first generation to go to college, about a third of our students who identify as Black, Indigenous, people of color, and a large majority of female or non-binary students. Very much very excited to have them part of our campus community, and it's wonderful to see what innovations happens here every day. So thinking about what's next, I should mention we went through a strategic planning process and we finalized it right before COVID. Wasn't that fun? So obviously we had a plan, but of course we had a little bit of divergence from the plan, but a lot of the things we did move forward with, and in some cases prioritized more than ever, because of that in that moment, we kind of had the opportunity to understand where what things were most pressing from an equity standpoint, from a standpoint of teaching and learning and ensuring student success. And as we have now come out of COVID and in its next iteration here, we're really focusing on really engaging on the community side now that we're in a space where events are happening again, and we can go back to the K through 12 schools again and engage in a meaningful way with the community. So our first goal in this area was really about cultivating creative leaders. And so what that means, it involves preparing leaders in art and design in a changing world by delivering a comprehensive curriculum, upholding educator excellence, and fostering practical experiences that feed future careers and holistically support all students. So some of the key initiatives that I've been working on, some of which we have accomplished, really putting in structures in place to support our student success, which has been needed more than ever, in some cases worsened because of COVID, everything from structural support to mental health needs, college readiness, sort of onboarding on-ramps as students are coming to college for the first time, launching a Center for Teaching and Learning to support faculty in their pedagogy, because it's really hard to be an educator, especially right now with the complexities of today's students and societal factors. And another important initiative, which I'll talk about in a minute, is to launch a center to serve as a hub for immersive technologies in art and design industry and community. Another goal was to advance our college. This is really about building awareness and branding and visibility, launching a comprehensive campaign, and really connecting to different, bringing more light, spreading the word of CIA to folks, expanding access to pathways to folks who may not have opportunities to experience CIA as well. The third strategic area that we're focusing on is strengthening community. And this is really what I'm super excited about. I should mention that I moved from a great city and a great job that I love to be here at CIA, but also because of, I think, the opportunities to really synergize more holistically with Cleveland and what's happening here provides great opportunities. So this involves serving as a cultural instigator to affirm the value of art and design in our communities and positively fostering growth in our region in the vital role that we have in helping to shape that. So that involves strategic community engagement with some of our neighborhood communities, and really bolstering creative placemaking as an opportunity for collective growth in the region, and focusing our efforts on the creative economy, directly on the impact that our graduates are having, but also through the secondary market in terms of helping to help enrich and enliven this community. So some of things, again, we are well on our way. The past year has been a very busy one. We have initiated a really fantastic internal group called the Idea Council, which focuses on our DEI efforts at the college, both internally and externally. We've been actually 1 year ahead of schedule and launching this important center for faculty, which in doing so supports our student success. We have recently just joined the Say Yes scholarship program in partnership with CMSD to engage, provide access to pathways to an education at CIA. Recently signed an articulation agreement with Tri-C. We welcomed our first student through this articulation agreement just this year, and we're super excited to grow that partnership and hopefully with other community colleges in the area as well. And also partnering now with College Now. So a lot of things that are very important. We're very much invested in Cleveland. Not that we weren't before, but this is a big priority in doubling down in our, in both understanding we are a global entity, we are nationally and internationally recruiting, but it's really important that we invest in our own backyard and our neighbors and the most important folks, the people in this community. This is just a sample list of some of the project partners we've worked with in the last year on industry. This is the really critical part of our students' experience in working on real world projects. The first ones here are project partners that we're working on with our upcoming Interactive Media Lab project, which I think it might be the next slide or the one after that. So this is very important to make sure that we see all of you and your roles as potential partners, and these don't have to be arts organizations. There's a lot of different ways that we can engage with one another. In thinking about some other examples of what we're up to, we are in this sort of earlier phase of launching a comprehensive campaign, comprehensive meaning, combination endowment, capital, and operating to support some of our key priorities in our strategic plan. Some of the ones I've highlighted here in supporting our students with respect to access to pathways to education at CIA, but more importantly, helping them be successful when they're here. Innovations in teaching and learning, with an eye towards student success against supporting our faculty. Innovation and technology, that's very much a cornerstone of what we've always done, but how we continue to evolve as an institution and a relevant institution, utilizing technology as a tool for that, and engaging with campus and community as well. So you'll probably hear a little bit more about that later, but it's still early phase right now. But these are important areas where we see the board and I and the team sees key areas of opportunity for investment in the college and also more importantly in the region. So the Interactive Media Lab is a really exciting project. I just want to highlight for a second. We are, many of you might have heard about the cross-sector collaboration happening, is spearheaded by the Cleveland Foundation. We will be under the same roof, having an extension of some of our learning opportunities there. We will be under the same roof as Case Western, in partnership with Case Western, Jumpstart, of course, Cleveland Foundation, Highland Software, University Hospitals, and a number of other initiatives. And our role there, this is where we're going to be having really a hub for our environment in augmented and virtual reality and art and design, and really having a critical connection between community, industry, and art and design here. So very excited to launch that. I think the groundbreaking is coming up in a couple of weeks, but you should see that. And a whole host of other initiatives, ripple effects of this really important innovation district happening in Midtown in a few years. So lastly, arts and design in the future of Cleveland is really the things that I think I'm most excited about in thinking about the future. These are things that I think have happened, but necessarily haven't been harnessed in the way that is in opportunities where I feel like it's our duty to connect the dots about how our role as a premier college of art and design can play in regional economic development from a standpoint of first market creative economy, understanding that many of our graduates are staying here, starting businesses and companies, innovating in companies in the region and contributing to the local economy, but also creating a sense of place and beautification, understanding too that helps to attract new folks. And from the standpoint of regional economic development, that means that even corporate organizations that have nothing to do with art are trying to retain and recruit talent here. It's important that we have a vibrant cultural economy here. And we're really excited to help drive that forward toward a common goal. And really thinking about the future of work, creativity, I'm going to say it all the time, it is one of the most essential skills for the future of work. Even the World Economic Forum says that every year. It's a uniquely human trait that is critically important to critical thinking and to innovation. And design thinking and artistic thinking, even if you're not a creative, is something that we can all benefit from in our teams and within our respective companies, and bringing value to that diversity of thought and new ideas and thought process. So in summary, I just want to end with a few things. Rachel asked me to reflect a little bit on my time in my position so far, understanding it's only been 10 months, but needless to say, I want to make sure I always want to reflect on what I've learned so far. So the importance of listening. This was a really big, important part of my listening tour, was the way I started off my role and how much I learned about this community and honoring its history and find opportunities for the future. Mission is everything. Again, when I get stuck, just going back to the mission is always a way out and a great way to get people on board. Unfortunately, the pandemic is not over for us and the ripple effects will continue, and we need to be cognizant of that and adapt to that. Everything from the mental health epidemic that has come as a result of that especially in my constituent base. And understanding here, I've learned that at CIA and in Cleveland, change is hard and innovation is harder, but we have to embrace it if we want to drive the region forward and again, continuing to innovate. Because really, in my opinion, creativity is really the best way through a problem, and we have to embody the creative process in our work and also leave room for failure and understanding that failure is often where the best opportunities come out of failure and failing forward and learning from those iterations. A sketchbook mentality, as we talk about all the time in art school. Never forget the leadership lessons learned from rock and roll. Again, I've been playing in bands for 20 plus years. And to me, being part of a team, knowing when to step back, knowing when to lead and forward, but also understanding group dynamics, conflict resolution, harmony, and all those things that can come together when you work together. Not a day goes by where I don't bring that back into my work. I've learned that CIA is awesome, but a lot of people don't know it yet. A lot of people, again, don't really understand what we are and what we do, even that we're a college. And that's something that working toward to scream from the rooftops that we're here and we are part of this community and helping to drive change forward. I've learned that Cleveland is awesome, but Cleveland doesn't seem to know it yet too. This is a city that like my former hometowns of Pittsburgh and Detroit seems to have a little bit of an insecurity issue sometimes and feels a little risk averse. And I think that it's time, the time is now with a lot of new leadership coming in and a great dynamic mayor with big vision to really take everything by the reins here and take some risks. And I think that's worth thinking about. And really understanding work. To me, I see the biggest opportunities at how we can work together as a cross-sector ecosystem. Again, not just arts and culture, not just education, but I really see the connective tissue opportunities here to make really strategic and coordinated efforts to work together to a common goal. And I invite you to be our partners in this work. I'm really excited to be here at Cleveland and excited to be at CIA and hopefully get to know you all. So I think that's it. My information is here if you'd like to keep in touch. If you're on Instagram, on there, I'm on LinkedIn as well. So I think I will stop there.
Kathryn, thank you so much. We've had a few questions come in. So you've mentioned innovation and really driving that among your students. Can you talk a little bit about some of the innovations in art that you're seeing among your students that really excites you?
Some of the things that excite me the most are when people do something that they didn't plan to do. So even just looking at alumni outcomes, like sometimes we might have a sculpture student that ends up completely doing a really cool innovation in the glass department, because what happens with innovation, what I see it is innovation inherently happens when you bring two otherwise disparate ideas together to form something new. So I think just like the scientific method starts with a hypothesis, I think sometimes through iterations and different prototypes, and you often don't come out with the outcome, but you often come out with a much better outcome. And sometimes it's the 12th version. Again, that's why it's important of the sketchbook. One example I'm super excited about, actually one of our students recently won an award in Chicago, the International Design Housewares Association, for a really cool innovation that she developed. It's seeing our students and how passionate they are for social justice and how they're using design as a tool to solve civic problems. She developed a product involving to help those with low or no vision to help them navigate space as they're walking, essentially replacement of the cane. And it evolved. She created this new device which has sensors, and I forgot the name of what it's called. But she won a national award, and she's actually going to be, she hasn't even graduated it. This is her BFA thesis project, and she's going to be bringing it to market. Very, very exciting. Again, if you look at the various iterations of how she got there, it was not overnight, and it was through a lot of smart failure and trying and retrying and pushing forward through that element of risk. Just seeing that happen, and I just saw her last night at our spring design show, and it's just very, very exciting initiatives, and the fact that our students can help change the world through art and design is really, really compelling and makes me very excited to be here.
How do you decide which companies to partner with to provide those unique career and internship opportunities for your students?
We don't necessarily have like a sort of a triaging station, but a lot of these are relationships that we've had for some time, and some of them are new ones. So it might be, we actually had a community engagement meeting last week where one of the things I've learned is that we only have one person with the name community in their title, but it is happening across about 20 different departments on campus, and trying to get a handle of this. So an employer might reach out to our career services office, for example, to post a job or an internship and actually come to the career fair. That's a very transactional experience. But a lot of our faculty are practicing artists and designers as well. So like right now we have folks from Stellantis here and from Detroit coming in and looking at all the designs for Spring Show and looking at transportation. And that's an area where he has some deeply rooted connections with industry. It might come from a contact that I make at a meeting or a student even through their community outreach club. It's really multifaceted. There's everything from, jobs, internships. We might have sponsored projects that a company sponsor a particular a class to do something. We have had a really, really meaningful engagement with Cleveland Foundation, the Midtown Cleveland, to make a 98-foot mural design for the new building coming up in Midtown. So that involved a very, very thorough community engagement process. So there isn't really one way. It's just trying to find out what the goal is and who would be the best fit. And sometimes we don't have the bandwidth to take it on. It depends on the situation, but we love partnership, and it's a really, really important experience for the students to have that.
Where do your students go after their time with the school? What are some of those post-graduation success stories?
We have it really runs the gamut. We have quite a lot of the visual artists and craft students end up having a career as an artist or setting up their own studios. Some of them do get representation from galleries. And so some of them do go on to teach later and might get their graduate degrees. In the case of a lot of our industry-facing majors, we have, for example, a lot of medical illustrators through a biomedical art department that are working in hospitals or different medical facilities. We locally, American Greetings is a large employer for us. We have a lot of our illustration students doing, in some cases, in-house, but also freelance work with them. We have folks at Moen designing sinks and faucets. We have quite a few alumni at Disney. And so a lot, it's very, very varied, if that makes sense. But it's something that we are, and some of them are single employers that will hire a few students, and some of them are more entrepreneurial ventures. So it's important that we meet students where they are and help them with their professional practice development to help support them in their future careers.
What can those of us on the call do to support you and the students of CIA?
Oh, I like that question. Come to our events, get to know us. I think that, again, one of the opportunities I feel like we have for improvement is to communicate our value proposition. A lot of people have no idea what we do. They make an assumption that we're the museum, or they might think we're a high school. Coming to our events, bringing your friends. We have a phenomenal spring show going on. We have a wonderful glass exhibition in our gallery. We have a Cinematheque film series, which is also open to the public. We have continuing ed program if you want to take a class, if you're just curious. I think that those are things that you can do with us directly, but we'll happily accept donations anytime, let me know. But I think indirectly, I think just being a champion for the creative process and how valuable that is for your organization, for the regional economy. I can't tell you, I get a little worried sometime, even K-12, and how a lot of schools are kind of teaching out creativity, how important that is for the process as you evolve as a human being. And the more that we can do to harness those experiences to cultivate curiosity and wonder and discovery in all that we do, and championing that in your leadership with your teams and your companies is really critically important. So I think that's sort of like the meta message I always want to share with folks, that you don't have to be a creative to do this work. You can engage in that process in anything that you do.
Kathryn, we have time for one more question. And I think so many of us are very interested to learn a little bit more about you as a bass guitarist in a rock band.
Okay. It's just something I've done since I was a while ago. Started playing bass in rock bands in the late 90s in Chicago, did a lot of touring, went on, released some albums with various bands. In Pittsburgh, did it a lot. Most recently, I'm hoping to start something in Cleveland. I have been going back and forth to Pittsburgh a little bit and playing with the old band here and there. I am a writer too, so I sing and write as well. My style is generally I prefer more rock and roll and alternative. But I just love making music with people and love playing on stage. And again, I appreciate those leadership lessons from rock and roll. And I just think it's important to not lose sight of that. My son is learning drums and my other one's learning guitar. So if I can't find folks to play with, a few more years, maybe they'll be ready to join me. So.
Great. Kathryn, thank you so much for your time this morning. And thank you for choosing Cleveland and choosing CIA. We are so fortunate to have you. And I love your words, cultivate curiosity and wonder. I'm going to hold on to those, and we will certainly try to heed your charge and do that in our next generations.
Great. Well, thanks for having me. I hope to meet you all soon, and you know where to find me, but come visit us sometime, and best of luck to everybody.